Hello, this is Tim Law with Plan It Forward Coaching and Self-Reliance You. Always remember your dreams, your goals, your career, and your life are all essential. A big thank you to the over 300 people that have subscribed to this channel, Plan It Forward Coaching. There's a lot of wonderful collective wisdom from so many people. I'm very, very pleased to have a gentleman I've known for a while, known and respected for quite a while, Mr. Duane Swartz. He's going to talk about the honor bus taking veterans from the various wars down to Washington, D.C., basically on a semi-annual basis until we got hit with this COVID. So, Duane, welcome. And yeah, tell us the story about how this got started. Please do.
Yeah, well, thanks a lot, Tim. I appreciate the opportunity to talk about Honor Bus. I just joked with you the other day. I love talking about the Honor Bus. It's just amazing how the whole thing got started. I often say I wasn't smart enough to do this on my own. I actually got the idea when I was on a field trip back in 2010, taking then some of my sophomores and one of my colleagues across the hallway, her sophomores, down to Washington, D.C. to see the monuments and memorials. And we start out going to Arlington National Cemetery. And I always sit up close behind the driver, and he just kind of turns around and just kind of says off the cuff, "Hey, you might be interested in this." And he began to tell me about a trip he had driven for a few weeks earlier for a school district that he couldn't think of right away. And then eventually he said, "Oh, I think it was Mechanicsburg." And, I'm listening to the story about how, he drove these World War II vets down to the World War II Memorial in Washington, and it's like, that's amazing. I'd love to be involved in something like that. My father was a World War II vet, passed away in 1990, long before they even started the World War II Memorial. And I thought, what a wonderful opportunity, so I got back to school the next day. I sent an email out. Does anybody know anybody in the Mechanicsburg School District? Because I had to get a name. I had to get an email address. And sure enough, by the end of the day, I had a name. And by the end of the week, I had an invitation to attend a meeting at Mechanicsburg Middle School, thanks to Becky Lacey, who had started the program up there with her students, who were actually middle school students. And she was more than willing to share everything she had done, that knew about starting this. And I said to some of my sophomores, this could be your senior project. I need some students to get involved with this, because I knew right away, it's something that had to have student involvement.
Sure,
and,
sure.
It's kind of started from there. I got together this group of 12 students. Most of them were mine. Some of them were Kathy's. I said, this can't,
you're referring to Kathy Morocco?
Yes, Kathy Morocco.
Yeah. I'd love to get an interview with her and or Michael as well. So yeah, go ahead. Didn't mean to interrupt you. Keep it going.
Yeah. So I said, anyway, I said, I want to put this group together. I want to do this project, kind of in honor of my father, although I still hadn't really come to this realization about what this project was and what it would come to mean. But, I knew it was something I wanted to explore. And I looked at him and said, we can do this, but the problem is we don't have any money. We can't do this for free.
Sure.
So I knew it would take a partnership with, local veterans organizations, VFWs, Legions, AMVETS, auxiliaries, you name it, anybody else that would be willing to contribute, because they felt the same desire to honor our veterans. So we started out with World War II vets, took our first trip on May 7th, 2011. And we had enough money, we could do a second trip. So we did our second trip with World War II vets in November of 2011.
Mm-hmm.
And because of COVID, our 17th trip ended up being canceled twice. So hopefully we can get back on the road here very, very soon.
Yeah, certainly would be great. Or, hopefully, this fall, right around Veterans Day and everything. I know those were the days you were going, and then also a trip in the spring. Generally, yeah. Duane, how many different guys have you gotten to go on these trips? How many different people?
As far as veterans, again, we've done 16 trips so far, and there have been a lot of repeat veterans. I came to the realization, I do not have the right to tell these guys they can't go a second time.
Right.
Because I really truly believe these guys have earned this privilege, this this opportunity. So we've had quite a number of repeat travelers, but easily, total between the 16 trips, easily over 1,000 veterans.
Wow.
Again,
Wow.
some of them, 2, 3, 4 times. But, we had a trip where we only took one bus because, we only had 20 couple. And I've had upwards to 140 veterans go, and that was 4 buses. So it's been quite a privilege and an honor, but it's also nerve-wracking, being the coordinator of it.
Sure.
But it's been such a blessing to so many.
Yeah. And what has been kind of the reaction of these great people, when they go down there to DC, and whether it's Arlington or the monuments or whatever, what has been their reaction, knowing, we lost, a 250,000 men in World War II, 250,000. And certainly these guys, know people most likely that didn't come back from the war. I know my dad in his high school, he was a World War II guy as well. He lost 8 guys out of his high school. What's the reaction of these guys when you take them down there?
I still remember one veteran saying, "I haven't been in Washington since 1960 something." You're thinking, yeah, I think it's changed a bit since then. But I think they're just number one. I think they're just so grateful that somebody even cares. And that's one of the things that I've really have striven with my students, is for them to realize that, the older generation, maybe doesn't have a whole lot of respect or belief that the younger generation cares. And that's been one of the true joys for me, in coordinating this, is to have students involved and the ability to kind of pick and choose some of the students I want to be involved. But, as far as, reactions, I think many of them have just been, very grateful, thankful. I know many of them have commented, their favorite part was watching the changing of the guard at the Tomb of the Unknowns. Because since we did the first 2 trips with World War II vets, we then took Korean War vets in 2013, because that was the 60th anniversary, of the end of that conflict. And then in 2014, started taking Vietnam vets, Korean vets, World War II vets, and now have kind of, opened it up to anyone who has served, those Gulf War guys from back in the, the early 90s, 1990, 91, those Gulf guys, and then the second Gulf War, War on Terror guys. I still remember one letter that I read from a Vietnam vet, who said, I was never proud of my service. I never talked about my service. I didn't want to talk about it. And, he said, the motorcycle parade that we are able to put together from the local motorcycle groups, they come out and they escort the buses all the way down Interstate 83. And this one gentleman said, that was my welcome home parade. That's the one thing I never, ever got when I came home. And it's like, wow, that's, 50 years ago, and for somebody to be carrying, that amount of pain, for lack of a better word,
Sure.
Just to be able to do this for them, it's just, again, just a great joy.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, and certainly preaching to the choir to you, the World War II guys were not what you'd call, a bunch of braggarts or anything like that. And you and I discussed this before with some of the things they had seen. And this was before there was any kind of, mention or understanding of, PTSD, among other things that, anybody thinks war is glamorous. So they're absolutely incorrect. It's a very, very tough situation. And these guys were not, here they come through the Great Depression, and then they get kind of pretty much thrown right into World War II, or volunteer to go in, of course, which a lot of them did. Most of them did, actually. And, so just the idea that they, what they experienced is something that, as we said, we can't even imagine. That's for sure. Yeah.
Just to, piggyback on that, we were discussing this the other day, those World War II guys were so humble. They didn't talk about it, but I guess that was kind of the the mentality, the time period, when they came home, in the mid to late 40s, they just didn't talk about it, what they had seen and done, I guess just, they were content to live with it and deal with it, and then, the Korean guys, this was explained to me by, I believe, a Korean vet one time, that, the World War II guys came home and there was celebrations, there was parades, they would wear their uniforms, every Memorial Day. The Korean guys, the war ended and they were told not to celebrate. It ended, it was over, but there was no celebration. So they end up kind of being forgotten, and then the Vietnam guys come home and so many of them are despised and hated and treated so disrespectfully. So it runs the gamut, so no wonder some of these Vietnam guys that, deal with so many issues, just suppressed all that. And all the, like I said, my father suffered from PTSD before PTSD was a thing.
Sure.
And sad to say, so many veterans, live with that pain and suffering on a daily basis, and everyone's experiences was different. My brother was a Vietnam vet, but he came home and, had no trouble at all, while others came home and, it was nothing but trouble and just disrespect and everything. So like I said, it's just been a real joy to organize these trips for anybody who has served, whether it was, combat or not, because I would have veterans say, well, I don't feel like I deserve this because I wasn't in combat. So that doesn't matter. Yeah. You're one phone call away from being on the front line. You're one phone call away from, being in country somewhere. You might be stateside, you might be in Europe, you might be in South America, somewhere, but you're serving, and that was subject to change in a 24-hour period of time. It doesn't matter. You signed up, you signed your name on the line. Your life was at risk as much as the next guy's, so we just wanted to be able to, to honor them and to say thank you and just let them know that we care and you're not forgotten.
Yeah. And Duane, you guys were the first ones within York County. And I believe we were talking the other day, still the only one from York County, or have there been others?
Yeah. Like I said, Mechanicsburg Middle School's up in Cumberland County.
Right.
So, Becky was more than willing to share what she had, what she knew, because she was committed to, helping the veterans also, so it wasn't just, she, somebody has sole possession of these types of trips, for all of South Central Pennsylvania. And I thought, again, one of the things I told my first group of students, is that this is what the VFWs and the Legions should be doing for their members, and they're not. They're not running even an annual trip down to Washington to treat their members, to this opportunity. And again, the World War II Memorial didn't open till 2004, 2005.
It was 2004 because my brother and niece and I took my dad down there in 2004. That's when it had just opened. We took him down the summer of 2004. Yes, sir.
Yeah. And by that time, we're already, 50 years past the end of the war. And so many of those World War II vets are getting to those years of their lives where travel was difficult, if not impossible. So I just sometimes wish that I would have learned about it sooner, but I don't know if it would have happened or not, but I'm still thankful for that bus driver that one day who says, hey, you might be interested in this.
Yeah. Well,
because it certainly, had I had a different bus driver, I wouldn't be sitting here talking to you about this.
Sure. No, it's a great thing.
It never happened.
Yeah. As far as we're going to close it up here pretty soon here, Duane, what advice would you give or thoughts that you would give to teens and young adults as far as understanding this a little bit deeper on, honoring these tremendous people?
I was thinking about this, and I actually just typed something on Facebook to another student who I actually spoke about this very same topic when she was a freshman in high school. and she's now a freshman in college, and that is the word passion.
Mm-hmm.
Again, growing up, my father was a World War II vet, and I knew that, but I never really thought a whole lot about it. My father didn't live long enough to see me graduate from college, didn't get to see me begin teaching U.S. history, teaching the Great Depression and World War II. But, the more I got involved with this project, the more it became a passion for me.
Mm-hmm.
Something that, I really, really want to do. Yeah, there have been times where, I thought, now how much more can I do this? I'm starting to burn out. So maybe COVID was a good thing because it gave me a respite from it, but I still have that passion to honor the veterans. Because again, what group in our society has done so much, for so many, but they receive so little recognition for, what they have done. So again, I said, I've had the opportunity to speak to students, and whatever their passion might be, to find it. They may not know in high school what their passion is, but if you can find it, the sooner you do, follow it, chase after it, let it become your motivation. Because quite often, your passion, or someone's passion may be, serving others, doing great things for other people, and isn't that what, we're called to do as human beings? So again, I always, I've had opportunities to speak to student groups, and that's the one thing I always focus on is, finding your passion in life, and then pursuing that. It might become a career, or it might just be, something that one does, when they have time. I don't mean to say like a hobby, but, it's something that they like to do, community service type stuff can be a passion. But again, that idea of finding what that is and then using it for, personal motivation.
So well said, Duane. And I think it's something, like I say, a lot of times when the students are in, let's say, high school or whatever, they don't necessarily recognize it at that point. But if you're thinking out there, especially beyond yourself, how can I contribute more? How can I serve more people? That kind of thing. And, we all are here to kind of do our best to create value using our God-given talents and everything to, is what we're good at to, assist and help other people. So I really applaud you for this great effort. And I know there's going to be more trips coming up and everything. And I appreciate this very, very much, Duane. Thank you so very, very much.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you for the opportunity to talk about it, because like I said, I could talk for a long period of time. There's certainly other stories I could share,
well, and
but I know time is limited.
Understandably so. And definitely great conversation right here. So thank you. Please stick around for a little bit right afterwards. And I'll talk to you after we're done here, but thank you so much.
Yeah. Can I just add one more thing?
Absolutely.
Yeah. Again, the idea of having students involved, like I said, I always knew that was important, and I'd like to recognize the 4 students who, because of their involvement with Honor Bus, decided to commit themselves to service in the U.S. military. And that's Heather in the Air Force.
Hey, now, what last name? Give us the last name.
Okay,
too.
Heather Brinker.
Okay.
Joined the United States Air Force. She was the first student. Oh golly, now I'm forgetting his name. I'll come back to him.
Okay.
Michaela Wirtz. She joined the U.S. Coast Guard because of her involvement with Honor Bus. Megan Schweitzer joined the National Guard because of her involvement. And I can picture him now. Oh golly, I'm so bad. Another student joined the Air Force, and now I feel bad. I can't think of his name. I can picture his face, clear as day. But my apologies to him because I can't think of his name. But again, they all came back and told me it was because of their involvement with this. And I'm just so proud of them, for making that commitment.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Well, so well said, Duane. And again, thank you so very, very much. I appreciate this. This has been fantastic.
Absolutely. Thank you very much, Tim. I appreciate it.
Yes, sir. Okay, Duane, you came up with a 4th name. Go right ahead.
Yeah, I came up with the name Brady Tome. He joined the Air Force also. Like I said, I could picture him plain as day. and just could not come up with his name. But again, I just appreciate their involvement with the project, and the fact that it made such an impression on them. And again, I never know what veterans are talking to kids about, what kids are hearing, what stories might be shared. But again, it's just been a wonderful opportunity to have students involved, because I guess it becomes inspirational to them also.
Sure. Well, thank you. I'm glad you got that name, and I wanted to make sure that we got.
Yeah, that would have bothered me had I not been able to think of
it. All good, sir. Well, thank you very much, and you'll just hang out here for a second when we get done. Okay.
Okay.